Okay. So I do apologize sincerely for the delay. We normally start the show at 9 p.m. on a Sunday evening, but unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, we started about an hour late. But we're here. That's what's important. So thank you for joining if you've just joined in. Tonight, we're going to be discussing a few things you should be doing as soon as you get home in the UK and what you do as soon as you move in. Also, we'll be taking questions as usual on anything you have about UK property, any sort of questions you have, information you might need, and so on. Please, if you're on Instagram and you do have a question, kindly click on the link in the bio and it will bring you to YouTube, and then we can put your question up on the screen. And that helps other people to learn as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to speak about this evening are security deposits. Now, those of you who are already searching, already here, or in the process of searching, maybe you've been looking online at properties, you will find out they ask you for 1 month rent and a deposit. A lot of people don't understand what that deposit means. That's a security deposit. So what security deposits do is give the landlord a level of protection in regards to any sort of damage to their home. Now, you really want to make sure you protect your security deposit because it's sometimes 1 month's rent, sometimes 5 or 6 weeks of rent is what they accept as a security deposit. It's a bit different from Nigeria where, you just pay a lot of money up front and that's it. And as things go along, you tend to get in contact with the landlord, they make repairs. Here, they take that huge chunk of money from you up front. And if there's any damage in the house when you are moving out, it gets taken from that security deposit. So when they say rent and deposits, the deposit does not count as rent. If you pay 3 months rent and you pay 1 month deposit, your 1 month deposit is for the landlord to hold on to for damages. Sometimes you might pay 6 months rent, you might still have to pay 1 month security deposit. And for those who are lucky, you might just pay 1 month rent, 1 month deposit. Hello, Fulola, thank you for joining. So we're just talking about a few things you need to do to ensure your security deposit is not lost at the end of your tenancy. Now, first thing, some good estate agents, when you move in, will do an inventory for you, which means they will go around the property, make a list of everything that's in there, how the condition of things are, and you get to sign that inventory. Now, what a lot of new people coming into the country don't realize is they're entitled to that. So a lot of people don't request it, and then they just give you the keys, you move in, nothing is said. The danger in that is when you're moving out, they could suddenly go, oh, by the way, you've damaged something on that wall, you've damaged the rugs or the carpets, and we're taking so and so amount from your security deposit for that purpose. So you really want to make sure, and this is something I advise all my clients as soon as they get the keys, is go in there, look for damages, look for anything you're not happy with, take photos of everything and send that back to the estate agent. It's really important. The thing with security deposits is, as much as they take them from you, at the end of the tenancy, they will be looking for any excuse not to give it back to you. So you really want to make sure you're protecting yourself. And obviously, just so they're not blaming you for any sort of damages you haven't made. If you have made the damages, however, you will have to pay to repair. So that's a slight difference between UK homes and Nigerian homes. We tend to pay a security deposit here. Okay. So there's also something called the deposit protection scheme, where before, in the past, in this country, when a landlord took a deposit, like what I'm alluding to is generally when you're moving out, they'll just come up with excuses. Oh, you didn't do that, you didn't do this, you didn't give me notice, one thing or the other, and then they just hold on to your deposit and you're there dragging, fighting. At the end, half of the time you just think, oh, it's not worth it, I'll just move on and leave it. So a few years ago, I'd say about 10, 12 years ago, the government came up with a scheme where once you pay in that deposit, it gets registered into a government scheme, which you have to sign up to as well in conjunction with your estate agent or landlord. And then that way, the money is not held by the landlord or by the estate agent, it's held by a third party. And if they need to make any claims, they will have to prove to that third party that you have actually caused the damage. So it's for a bit of protection for the tenants as well. And that seems to work very fine for most people. But a lot of landlords or estate agents will not put your deposit in one of these schemes. So that's something you should be requesting when you move in, to say, is my deposit protected? Is it actually protected? Because if it's not in that scheme, when it comes to time to moving out, they can make up any false claims, and that will be the end of that. So deposit protection is one that is really important. If you're thinking of moving in soon, if you're already in that process of searching, make sure your deposit is being protected. You do your own bit as well. As soon as you get the keys, I know some of us, we are searching for 1 month, 2 months. When you get the keys, you're just happy to have the keys. You forget everything. No. First thing is a thorough inspection by yourself. Document everything that is in that home, any sort of damages, and send it straight back to them. And, send an email so it's recorded. Send the photos in this email. There's a date and there's a timestamp, and then that covers you, moving forward towards the ends of your tenancy. Another reason why your deposit might be lost, as I just mentioned briefly just now, is in regards to giving notice. Now, it's a bit different from Nigeria. When you decide you don't want a home again, you can just pack up in the middle of the night, and then the landlord comes and you say, oh, I'm gone, oh, it's over. And then, if you're a good tenant, you probably pay up your rent up to that point. Some people who are not great tenants, they probably be owing the landlord for a few months. And then they just pack up and move away. It's totally different here. You can't do that. In your contract, there is a notice period. It's usually 1 month or 2 months. So if you're intending to move on, for both sides protection, and it's the same, it's called the break clause. Now, the landlord is protected, you as the tenants are protected. What this 1 month does is it gives the landlord time to find another tenant. So people are already here searching. Sometimes you go to a home and you find that there's still tenants in there. It's because they've given the landlord their notice of moving out. They're going to be going away soon. And then the landlord uses that last 1 month to get someone else in there and take over the tenancy. So he doesn't have any period where the property is not rented out or is empty. Also, when you give that 1 month as well, it's, it gives you time to find another property, move on, that sort of thing. So it's not really ever going to be a situation where you just wake up and you decide, I don't want this house, and then you just move out. It doesn't really happen as much here. You can do that, but what happens is the security deposit you paid, the 1 month or 5 weeks or 6 weeks deposit which you paid, you lose that because you haven't given the landlord appropriate notice, so you have broken a condition of your tenancy. So it's really important people start thinking of these things. Renting here is a totally different affair from how it runs in Nigeria. So if you decide to move out, don't expect that money back, and you will likely most need a deposit. So that's a bit about security deposits. Now, for those on YouTube, I've changed the screen. We're talking about electoral roll now. What is the electoral roll? And today's show, for those who are just joining in, is about the things you need to do as soon as you move into the property. So we've been talking about tenancies and security deposits. The next important thing to do as soon as you move in is to make sure you are registered on the electoral roll. Now, the electoral roll, the easiest way I can translate that to Nigeria is registering to vote. Going to your, I think we've had a lot of that with the last elections where people are going to register to vote and that sort of thing. Here, it happens all around the year. As soon as you move into a property, you contact the local council. We call councils here, or local authorities. Those are the equivalent of local governments in Nigeria. So as soon as you move into an area, say for every area, there's about 700 of them. So obviously I can't go through all, but you will know who the local authority is for the area you live in. Within London, it could be Brent, it could be Lambeth, it could be London Borough of Lewisham. If you're in Greenwich, it's the London Borough of Greenwich, that sort of thing. They're the local authority, and you contact them and you inform them you've just moved in. Now, there's various reasons why you'll be contacting the local authority, but one of them is for the electoral roll. as most of us are coming on visas, you are a Commonwealth citizen. You're not entitled to vote in all elections, but there's certain elections you can vote in. So this is why you need to be registered on the electoral roll. I know it sounds really boring that we're talking about voting. You've just moved into the country, you've just moved into a house. What are you doing with the electoral roll? Now, the important part is not about the voting. Electoral roll is the only way that really registers you in a property for credit. If you've been following my channel for a while, you'll see we've spoken in the past about building your credit, what you need to do with your credit history to make sure, you know, after a couple of months or towards a year, you can start applying for credit cards, loans, even get approved for certain bank accounts, even jobs with companies like Amazon, jobs in the financial sector, they need to do a credit check for you. So you want your name to start getting registered, and bills and certain things you do don't really get you there. The electoral roll is the primary way which financial services use to check your location. So as soon as you move into a house, you want to register on the electoral roll, and then it starts to count that you've lived in that house for so and so amount of time. You know, you could end up, if you don't do this, you could end up living in the property for 1 year, 2 years. And it comes to the time you want to apply for a loan or a credit card, and they say, oh, we can't find you on the system. This is the first way you get onto the system in terms of your address. It's really important. As soon as you come in, make sure you register on the electoral roll for your area. So it's not about voting, it's about finance, which is a very weird thing. But every time you apply for something, they check where you are. Now, even in regards to this applying for stuff and financial things, you want to make sure you're not changing your address too frequently. So if every 6 months your address on different electoral rolls keeps changing, you will find yourself getting declined for credits. When you apply for loans, credit cards, certain things, you'll get declined, because what it tells the provider is that you're not very stable. And of course, they don't want to give you £10,000 as a loan and then suddenly they don't know where you are. Someone who has been on the electoral roll for 3 years at a certain address has the best chances of approval, because it shows, okay, you've been there for quite a while, we know you live there, you know, there's a lot of things where you are associated to that address. So to create that association, the first step, once you move in, find out your local authority, make sure you get registered on the electoral roll. So it gives you the opportunity to vote in the future if there's any sort of elections going on where you as a Commonwealth citizen are entitled to vote. But more importantly, for your credit, you want to start building your credit history as soon as you arrive in the country. Don't leave it to chance. Don't be here for 6-8 months and you've done nothing about your credit, because when you generally need credit, you generally need it then. I've also had someone who has lived there for a very long time, was fortunate to apply for a financial job in the city of London, very big, great, lovely job where he would have been earning tons of money. And he just had bad credits and he got denied, and that was the end of the interview. So your credits, if you've been on this channel, we talk about credit quite a lot. It's really important you get. These are one of the things you must do once you move into a property. Okay, beg your pardon. So that's 2 things we covered now. And the next really important one is, if you're on YouTube, you'll be seeing this on the screen, is register your utilities. Now, sometimes this is optional for you. A lot of landlords and estate agents, as soon as you move in, they register you automatically. So they will contact the council, which is the local authority, equivalent to the local government in Nigeria. And they'll tell them this person has moved in, and they're responsible for council tax. Now, some of you know what council tax is, but we'll go over it again for those who are new to the channel. Council tax is what you pay your local authority for basic services like collection of rubbish, maintenance of the roads. It goes towards so many things. Where, you know, every household pays council tax, and we've spoken about council tax quite a lot on this channel, because a lot of people are coming as students and you think, okay, I'm a student, it's free council tax. Just for those who have not gotten engaged with this, it's only free for you as a student if you are the only adult above 18 in that household. So let's say, for instance, you've come over, you're a gentleman, you're 30 years old, you're doing your postgraduate, and you are single, and you rent a place, a flat for yourself or something, you won't pay council tax. Same thing if you're a lady, you come with 2 kids, you're on your own in a property, you don't pay council tax. But the situation that we're seeing a lot of people doing is you're coming with dependents. So when you come, it's dad, mom, 2 kids, 3 kids, that sort of situation. Now, if you come with an adult dependent from Nigeria, you are not entitled to free council tax. And this shocks a lot of people when I tell them, say, oh my God, I thought council tax would be free. Because it can add up to quite a lot. On average, you'll be paying between 150 to about 200, depending on the type of house, in the area where the house is. Council tax is not a fixed fee. The local authority for that area sets it up, and it's in relation to your house. So now, if, for instance, you live in a 3-bedroom detached house, your council tax will probably be more than for people living in a 2-bedroom flat. So there are bands. They're what we call bands, band A, B, D, C. It goes all the way down. I have covered council tax extensively in a different show, so I'm not going to go too much off point because I want to take your questions this evening, and we have lost quite a bit of time by starting late. But council tax is decided by your local authority. It is not free if there's 2 adults in the household and only one is a student. If both of you are students, I have people coming where 4 of them are students, they've all tagged along together, decided to rent a house together, or 3 people, you want to take a 3-bedroom, you're all students, all in the same uni, then it's free because all of you are students and all of you are above 18. But as soon as you have people above 18 that are not students, if you have 1 student there, then council tax is discounted by 25%. Some people will just register the students, and if it's only the student registered on the electoral roll with the council tax, then it's free. But obviously, most times you don't get that opportunity. As soon as you're doing your referencing, the landlord wants to know everybody who is above 18 and going to be living in this property. So you would have to declare your husband, your wife, the other partner, and then they automatically send that to the council. So you might not get council tax free in that situation. You might get a 25% discount if there's 2 adults in the house. Okay, so that's a bit enough about council tax, but that's one of the utilities you need to register for. They might do it for you. You might have the opportunity to do it yourself. You also have to make sure your gas, electric, water is in your name. Oftentimes people move into properties and then they don't switch over the name onto their name. That could lead to a host of issues in the future. Number one, you might not have proof of address because that's what bills are here mostly for. You need to be able to prove that you've lived in that house for a certain time of period. So if you move into the house and 4 months later you still haven't registered the electric in your name, then obviously, first of all, you don't have proof of address for that period. And there might be times where you would need to prove that in the future. Number two, you might be doing something illegal. If it's on the last person's name and you haven't changed it over to your name, you might just wake up one day and they're coming to change your meter to a pay-as-you-go meter. If you even have a smart meter, they will change it over the air and your electric will just cut out. So these are the things you have to ensure you're doing as soon as you enter the property. Okay, so yes, in regards to the utilities as well, this I went over with someone last week as well, is when you do move in and register your utilities, make sure you take the meter readings. And like what we were talking in the beginning about taking pictures, take the readings from your electric meter, your gas meter, your water meter, whatever it might be, because that shows where you take possession of the home. The house might have been empty for 6 months or the last person didn't pay their bills. So if you just come in and you don't register and take your meter readings to say, this is the reading where my bill started from, then obviously that will lead to issues with finance. You won't be able to prove it later and they couldn't make you pay that bill, which is from another customer. The last person who was there before you may have not paid their last bill. And then you just come, you don't change over the thing to your name, you just keep using it. Obviously that could cause issues for you later. So you want to make sure you do that. So Yeah, we're coming up to the 20-minute mark. I hope that's been informative for those who have stayed with the broadcast. If you have any questions about these three topics, we've covered tenancy, security deposits, and protecting your deposits. We've spoken about registering on the electoral roll for the purposes of finance, especially, and applying for credit in the future, and registering your utility bills. So I hope you found that informative. We will now move on to the question and answer section. I am aware some people have been sending in questions, so I'll get to your questions briefly. But if you are able to, please come on the YouTube channel. The link is on the bio, and you can send your question there, and we can put it on the screen. So yes, first we have David Ojechi. Hello, hi, thanks for joining, David. You are always here every week. Thank you so much for your support. Yep, thank you. So we've got Ayaba Michael. Can you please talk a bit about taking meter readings for electricity and gas when moving out? Okay, so we just covered that briefly there. Make sure you take the read, take a photo of it as well, send it to your provider so they know. Sometimes now with the very new meters that are smart meters that we have in the home, as soon as you register, the energy provider can take the reading themselves. So you may not need to take it, but for your own benefit, take it. Just in case they make a mistake, or sometimes the meters go wrong and it's giving wrong readings. You want to make sure you have a record of that as soon as you move in. Thank you. So we got Lord Billa. How will one change the name on the utility bill? Very good question. I have that from all my all my people when they move in, all my clients. You just need to contact the energy provider there, and you can change your name. Now, what's even better is you could actually do a search for something that's cheaper. The way electric, and I've had this discussion so many times with people, the way they're setting up the electric companies and distribution companies in Nigeria is so horrible, because you're tied to the one who controls your region, isn't it? I know in Lagos, they've got the Ekeja company, you've got, different companies controlling different geographical areas. In the UK, it's not like that. So, the national grid controls the wires and the pipes that bring the gas and that sort of thing. But in terms of providers, you can actually search for someone that's cheaper. So this is a different show we were going to do, but I am going to put this up on the screen. For those on YouTube, you will see this as well. Let's see if we can put that up there. There is a website called Uswitch. And it's one of the best comparison sites. They're called comparison sites. So you move into the property, and yes, I'm putting that up on YouTube now. You move into the property and go on this website, put in your postcode, put in your name and everything, and then it will bring you about 10 electric suppliers. And then you can look, okay, I'll be paying this a year, I'll be paying this a year. So you can actually compare and choose. You're not tied to the property, like whoever was supplying the property before you arrive. You're not tied to that. So it's a totally different system. It's very good. We have people who have moved in already and they don't realize if you move in there and it's Empower, Eon, for instance, you can change to British Gas. You can change from British Gas and change to OVO. You can change to, like, anybody who supplies electric in the country, you can change to them. So you're not tied geographically to anyone. And, it helps in terms of competition. They're all competing for your money. So if they can do it cheaper, they will do it cheaper. So if you've just moved into the country and you already have a property, make sure you search on Uswitch to see you are paying the lowest you should be paying. And if you can change, you can definitely change. So that's a really good one there, Lord Billa. Thank you. We've got someone else on YouTube, Chukudi Ejiogu. Hello, sir. Good to see you. Do you have a means to speed up from a payment or school deposits? Unfortunately, I do not. I'm not sure anyone can speed that up unless they work in the bank. I really wish I could. A new service we've just started to offer is for proof of funds. We've only started to offer that last week. So if you are looking for a reliable proof of funds provider, talk to us. We can definitely help with that. Chukudi, you said sorry, it's off topic. It's never off topic on this show. You can ask me anything, and if I do have the answer, that's the reason why we do the show, is so you have an outlet to ask these questions. So that's fine. So that's all the questions we have on YouTube at the moment. I'm going to take a few off Instagram. Certain people have been sending in messages. So let's just see. So we've got Queen B. Hom. You sent this quite a while ago, so I hope you're still there. Hi, sir. I'm coming to Leeds by September. I would like to know the availability of jobs and also the cost of living, especially for house rent. Okay. So Leeds is up in the north. It's not as expensive as areas, I would say, like London or the bigger cities. But as we're coming to find out now, almost everywhere is about the same price in terms of housing. So you say especially house rents. You would have to give me a bit more information. I need to know how many bedrooms for how many people, that sort of thing. And I can certainly look up stuff for you. Availability of jobs. Leeds is a bigger city, so it's not as remote as a lot of places we've seen people going to where there's no job. So in terms of jobs, if you're just looking for manual jobs, you should be fine in Leeds. Even professional jobs. Leeds is quite a big city, so that should be fine. We've got Aisha Ene, sorry, I hope I'm saying that right. You better keep 3 months of rent or more. Yes, certainly having advance rent does help with renting in the UK at the moment, just because there is so much competition. A lot of landlords will request for you to pay 3 or 6 months of rent ahead. And this is especially in situations where you are coming as a student, you're coming with your partner. I have this all the time. People say, oh, I'm coming with my husband, he's going to be working, I'm going to school. UK, they only rely on what you can prove right now. We all know that everybody who comes will eventually get a job, you want to be working, but if you cannot prove your income, you are not able to pass the affordability checks of your referencing. Now, what is an affordability check? Just for those who are new to the channel, or if you've never been here before, for every house you want to rent, you need to be earning 3 times the house rent. So if your house is £1,000 a month, between you and your partner, you have to be earning 3,000 a month. Otherwise, you don't pass the affordability. We have people that have been checking for 2 months, 3 months, they're still not having success with finding a house. And when they come to us, we say, okay, what have you been telling them you earn? You say, oh, my husband works part-time, he earns 700. And me, I'm a student, I'm not working. Well, they're not going to give you the house because they think, okay, within 2 or 3 months, you're going to be in trouble because it doesn't add up. You need to travel, you need to eat, you need to take care of your children. So if you're not yet earning at the level, you have to either be able to show you have a significant amount of savings, and not in Nigeria. Most times, Nigerian bank statements are not accepted here. It will have to be savings here in the UK. And if you can't prove that, the next best thing is paying your rent in advance. So when you go there, if you know you're not earning enough, just tell them straight away, I'm ready to pay 6 months ahead. And that sometimes can sway. But what we're finding, that doesn't always work even now. So you might need a reference in terms of employment and earnings. I beg your pardon. Okay, thank you, Aisha, for that. 3 months, yeah, definitely. You might need up to 6 months. Okay, so let's see who else we've got on Instagram. Any other messages? Funolafa, thank you so much for joining. You said, what if your damage will cost more than the deposit to repair? Okay, so then in that case, the landlord can bill you, even though you've moved out, they can send you an invoice, you know? Let's say you move into a property and the rent of the property is £1,000 a month. So your deposit, which you pay, which is protection, will be £1,000, sometimes a month. Sometimes they ask for 5 or 6 weeks. So it could be even all the way up to 1,500. Now, they are mostly covered by that. When I say they're mostly covered by that, there's only so much damage you can do, unless it was a crazy person just moving in, just breaking things. I mean, the things they will charge you for is like the carpet. So if you don't keep the carpets clean and kind of wash them, they may charge you about £100 to wash your carpet, regardless of, even if you hoover there every day you've been there, There might be a move. They find little ways to take out of your deposit. Let me just put it like that. So they might charge you for carpet cleaning. They might charge you for an end of tenancy clean. Sometimes people just move out, leave the house, make sure you're cleaning, tidying things. Get it to the state of how they gave it to you when you moved in. You know, you don't want it to be all looking at shambles, everything's up and down, because you've got the next new house now, you suddenly just leave it all messy, you don't even hoover, you don't clean everything. So if you do these little things, this is how they try to tap into your deposit. But just back to your question, if you do cause damage, now if you pay the deposit of 1.5 and you cause damage of 2,000, they have the right to calculate all of that damage, and if they can prove it, they will be sending you that bill. And even though you're moving on to a new house, the thing that happens in the UK is, let's say you've lived in a house for 1 or 2 years, you will get a lot of letters going to that house. A lot of your things you've set up are all directed to that house. You know, end of the year, the tax office sends you a statement of what tax you paid, where the tax has gone into, all these sort of things. So what people do is when you move out of the house, you set up what we call a redirection. So even if you don't tell your landlord, they can find out where you redirect your mail to, because a lot of the stuff, as soon as you move somewhere else, you're going to contact Royal Mail and tell them, I'm no longer here, I've moved here. Sometimes you set up that redirection for 6 months, some people up to a year. You can even do it up to 10 years, because sometimes you will find people have lived in a house for 10 years and then they move to another house, that you will not remember every single person you've given your address to. And there's different organizations, different mail is very important here. It's not like Nigeria where there's no mail system. So your bills, your credit card statements, a lot of us are going to university. Your university might want to send you something, all that sort of thing. So that you just don't drop off the face of the earth, you'll go to the Royal Mail and you'll say, I'm moving to a new house. This is my new address. You pay them a bit of money for that service, about £30 for every 6 months, £60 a year or £70 a year, something like that now. And every time you get a letter sent to your old house, it gets redirected to your new address. So your landlord can tap into that and see where your mail is being redirected to, and they can still find you out. And that's one way they can find you. Another way is they could just check the electoral roll where you're registered to vote, or they could check where you're paying council tax now, because you're going to have to pay council tax somewhere. So it's different from Nigeria, where you just move, you can drop off the face of the earth, no one can trace you. Here they can trace you if they want to. So I'd be very careful. Don't create any damage if you can avoid it. If you can fix it yourself, fix it yourself. Don't wait for them to take it out of your deposit, because what you will find is, if you wait for them to charge you for it, they will probably charge you over the odds. They're not going to charge you what it costs. So if it costs them £100 to paint the wall where your child has carried a marker and run along the wall, and it costs £100 for you to get someone to do it, they'll probably charge you £400 because they need to pay a professional, a team of people, this, that. When you can go down to the B&Q store, buy a can of paint and some brushes for £50 and do it yourself. So I wouldn't wait for them to charge you. Try as much as possible not to create damage, and if you do, fix it yourself, and then that way you're protecting your deposit. So I hope that helps, Ulalafa. I've answered this other question on YouTube, so we'll move on. Okay, do we have any others on Instagram? Okay. So, Lyric Senor, please, I'm just joining. Can you please elaborate on the electoral bill? Okay, so it's not electoral bill, it's the electoral roll. So I'm going to put it back up on the screen on YouTube. I hope you're still there, Lyric Senor. I know people do drop in and drop out depending on your internet and that sort of thing. So I hope you're there for the answer of this. Now, we covered this a bit earlier. The electoral roll is there. It's equivalent to you registering to vote in Nigeria. So it's the list of registered voters in an area. But, as a Commonwealth citizen, you're entitled to vote in some elections, not all elections. And they will inform you which ones you're allowed to vote in. But more importantly, for you that's just coming into the country, the electoral roll is what financial institutions like banks, credit card companies, this is how they used to prove your address. So you might move into, I know many of us have moved here now, and we have people who watch the show that have been in the country for a few months. You might already be in a property and you've got your electric set up, you've got your light set up, but you've not registered on the electoral roll. You are not yet counting months in that property. So you want to register that as soon as you move in, because that's how financial institutions will prove, I beg your pardon, how long you've been in the property. So, Lerickson, I hope you're still there. If possible, you can watch the show back on YouTube. You know, we always post this up later. And if you watch the start of the show, I do delve into this quite a bit, but it's all about your finances. You know, a lot of us have spent a ton of money coming here from Nigeria. You paid the amounts people have paid to get here. Honestly, it's a lot of money. So, you know, within a few years, you might want to buy a house here. You might want to get a loan to travel or do stuff. You want to be registered on the electoral roll as soon as possible. That's what financial institutions will check and say, okay, you've been there a year, you've been paying your bills properly, you've been doing this, and then, you know, and also with the electoral roll, you want to make sure you stay in one address for as long as possible. If you're changing addresses every 6 months to a financial provider, that shows you are not a reliable person. You're not stable. Let me not say reliable. You're not a stable person. You're not in one place. So they could give you this loan now for 10,000, and 2 months later you'd have moved somewhere else. So it's also showing consistency and stability. So you want to register there and stay there as long as possible. I am aware a lot of us are in temporary situations. So if you're in a temporary house or a place you're not going to be in, don't register there. But if you're going to be there for at least a year, for a 12-month tenancy, which most of us are signing, you definitely want to be registered on the electoral roll. So Lyrics and all, I hope that helps. Who else have we got? So David Agbane, you said last week you talked about Amazon Flex. How much can one make on the job working part-time? Okay, so you're taking this back to jobs now. We did have 2 weeks of job shows, so we're not going to deal too much on jobs this week. It's more back to our bread and butter, which is property. But yeah, we will take your question as usual. So with Amazon Flex, it's not a fixed amount. It's a very funny system. If you are lucky to get registered on Amazon Flex, what happens is shifts come up. So you will go on the app and it will say, oh, there's a 5 to 9 p.m. shift, or there's a 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. shift for deliveries. This is if you already have a car in the UK. Amazon Flex, the Amazon proper is you get a job with Amazon as a driver and you go out every day, you deliver packages, you might deliver 150 packages, they pay you per package and they pay you for the shift. Amazon Flex is what we were discussing for students. If you have a car, I know a few students who are doing care jobs, doing this sort of thing, and they have a car. So if you do already have a car in the UK, you can sign up for Flex. Now, you go on the app, you will see available shifts. If you're lucky, you pick up a shift. Now, what happens is, if you pick up that shift 2 days before, the shift might say it pays £80 or £70. If you wait to a few hours before the shift, that means they cannot find anybody else to fit the shift. The price for the shift starts going higher. So it's a funny thing. It's, do I take it 2 days before where you've secured that money for yourself? But then if you do that, you get it at a lower rate. But if you take the risk and say, let me wait till 2 hours before the shift starts because the money will be higher by £10, well, you might lose it because somebody else might pick it up before you. So it's based on demand. They have all these algorithms. I can't tell you a fixed price, they will tell you, but it's not as easy to register on Amazon Flex as it might come across. You need certain criteria. So I would worry first about getting registered on Amazon Flex. And as soon as you're in their system, they'll give you an induction, how it works, how much you get paid per package, all that sort of stuff. So, you know, take it step at a time. I'm sure as soon as you get onto there, you will be you will get the hang of things. Don't worry about it. They do pay quite well, because remember, it's part-time. It's if you're a student, it's good for moms who are home. They do the school run. All they have to do is pick up and drop off their kids to school, and they're doing nothing in the middle of the day. They've got that block of time there. It's not really Amazon Flex. I wouldn't take it as a full-time job. You probably won't get enough shifts for it to pay you full-time. But it's for people who have cars and can deliver smaller items in their area, like people order engagement rings now online, and that ring is probably worth £2,000, but then they don't want to use a big van to deliver that. So you, with your little car, you can take those kind of smaller packages and deliver in your local area. So I hope that helps, David Agbane. We've got Abeni Prince and Khadija sending a request to be in the live video. I do apologize. We used to do that at the beginning. We used to allow people come on the show. We don't do that anymore because of how we are broadcasting on two different channels now. So if we took you live on Instagram, people on YouTube will have no clue what's happening. So I do apologize. Just send us a question and we'll read it out for everyone to learn. If you are on Instagram, please join us on YouTube if you want your question on the screen, and it's recorded as well. The link is in the bio and we'll be able to put your question up on the screen. People can learn from that as well. So we got Morayo, and you say, hi, sir. How much is the house rent in Birmingham, a room and parlor, and the availability of jobs there? So I think you're new to the channel. We don't say room and parlor in UK. So you want a one-bedroom flat. And I'm very particular about this. I want you guys to start using the right terms, because I've had so many estate agents say, oh, they want a room and parlor. What's a parlor? It's English. They don't use those terms. So some of you come and you say you want a mini flat or you want a self-contained. Now, I will briefly go over what sort of houses we have. Hopefully we can do that in a minute. I've done it on past shows. You can, if you're renting in a shared property, you can be renting a room. So you're in one room, you're sharing your bathroom and your kitchen with other people. That's renting a room in a shared property. The other types of rooms you can have as well are ensuite rooms. So that's a room that has its own bedroom, but you share the kitchen with someone. So that's an ensuite. So we've got a room in a shared property, we've got an ensuite. If you come to the stage, what you guys call over there a mini flat, a self-contained thing. So it's a room, and attached to your room is a little kitchen area and a bathroom. You don't have a room and parlor, it's just one space, one living space, and you've got the kitchen and bathroom. That's what we call a studio flat here. So it's important you know the terms, because every day this is what we're doing in the messages. People are telling us you don't quite know what you're looking for. So you start using the right terms. So that's what a studio flat is. And then if you've got a separate bedroom and a separate living room, what you will call a room and parlor, that's a one-bedroom flat. And then it goes up from there, two-bedroom, that and that. So try and get into the lingo of what's happening here. And you want a one-bedroom flat in Birmingham, and is there availability of jobs there? Moriah, sorry, I do tend to go off on a tangent, and this is what is helpful for us because we learn other things in the process of these questions. So in Birmingham, for a one-bedroom, you'll be looking somewhere in the region of 700 to about £900, depending on the area of Birmingham and how good this property is. But the lowest you'll be getting it will be about 700, and the top end is about 900, 1,000. So for a one bedroom. And availability of jobs, Birmingham is the second largest city after London. So you're in good, you're in a safe place to go for jobs. I tend to tell people it's the more remote areas you should be worried about. A lot of people, you just get a COS from somewhere, or you get an offer from a school in the middle of nowhere. Even the British people, the UK people don't go there. The people who are born there, they're running from there to the cities to get jobs. It's just imagine if you're in Nigeria and you're in the village somewhere. It's likely that after a period of time, you're going to go to Lagos or Abuja or one of the bigger cities for more opportunities. But because we're coming from Nigeria, it's just like, let me just get in anywhere. That is fine. You can get in anywhere. Will you get a job that pays the rent? Will you be able to survive there? So these are the questions we want you asking, and that's fine. I'm going to switch to YouTube just for a quick second, just because we have a few coming in there, and we'll continue on Instagram. I beg your pardon. So I got Temi Tope Jayola, charges for your PoF. So we don't have a fixed charge. I beg your pardon. I think most providers you'll find for POF, they just have one figure and that covers everything. We have a sliding scale. So it depends on how much amount you want. We determine the percentage. Send us a message on Instagram and we'll get you all the list of the rates we charge. But that's a new service we've just introduced in the last week. Okay, so we've got Funky on YouTube. Please, can one run the SIA program from Nigeria? If yes, any agency for that? Unfortunately, you cannot. You have to be here. You have to take the 1 week course in a classroom here. You can't even do it online. You have to be in a classroom. At the end of the course, there's an exam you have to take. And then, you know, invigilation style, they have to watch you take the examination. So it's not really something you can do from Nigeria. You have to be here, unfortunately. The reason we spoke about SIA is security is such a big sector. If you watch our last 2 weeks show, the week before last, we covered this in a lot of detail. A lot of jobs in the security sector. You could do concierge, site security, CCTV, you know, normal door wardens, stewards for events, that sort of thing, and door supervision, which is working in clubs, bars, all this sort of thing. So security is about 10 sectors in one. You need an SIA license to get into the system, and yeah, this is why you're asking probably, because we covered it quite a great deal on the channel. You can't do it from Nigeria, unfortunately. You have to get here. There's a cost involved, and that's what I really want people prepared for is, you know, if you think you're a student, security might be good because you can get evening shifts, you can work at night, and then, you know, the whole 24 hours is not gone, because a lot of your programs now, you're having to attend school 3 or 4 days a week. So you want something you can do on the weekends, in the evenings, outside of customer service. Customer service is your number one go-to. If you can get a job in Tesco's, Sainsbury's, one of the big supermarkets, go for that. But security is the next big one. It will cost you about £500 to be fully qualified for security, and that's Funky. I was just getting into that, and you've just asked that question, so I'll put that up on the screen. Any idea of the cost of both the exam and certificate? So for the 1 week course and for the exam, you should budget anywhere between 150 to 200. It's not fixed. There's so many agencies providing this service. You will have to find one in the area where you land in the UK. So if you land in London, if you land in Birmingham, search for SIA, course providers in that area. There might not always be a course starting that week. You might have to wait a week or two to join the next available course. Once you get on the course, so budget about 150 to 200 for that. After you do the exam and the course, the next thing you have to do is apply for the badge. So there's an actual badge which you wear as a security personnel. It comes from one body, that's the SIA body. So once you pass the exam, that's great. You get the certificate for passing. You need to do your DBS checks. So they have to check your last 5 years, where you've lived, what you've been doing for the last 5 years. All of this, remember, security is quite a sensitive industry. You know, you're securing places, you might be giving access to where regular people cannot get access to. So after that, you need your DBS. Your DBS might cost in the region, I think it's about £36 now, something like that. It's under £50. So, you know, you have 150 for the cost, about another 50 for your DBS. And why you need the DBS is when you apply for the badge, they're going to ask you for the DBS. So the badge itself is about another £250, £300 from the SIA. I'm sorry I don't have the exact figures for you. I might be working off old figures, but I know you need to budget about £500 for this process in all, and it will take up to 4 to 6 weeks to get the badge. So as long as you're thinking ahead, and I've told people when we did this show last week, everyone was saying, oh, it's quite expensive, this and that. It's an investment in yourself. I have people that have arrived 2 months, still no job. And there's jobs you could be picking up if you had a badge, that sort of thing. So it doesn't go to waste. As soon as you get it, you have it. If you decide to continue in security, you know, you continue. If not, you know, it's not wasted. It's still something you can pick up security shifts later. You could have 2 jobs You know, I tell people about my personal experience. When I just came to this country in 2003, I had 3 jobs at a particular point in time. I used to go do cleaning job in the morning. I used to come and do my regular 8 to 5 job, working for the council. And then in the evenings, I had another job. So it depends on how hard you want to hustle. So, you know, you could still be doing something in the evenings with that badge. It doesn't go to waste. Okay, thanks, Funky. I hope that helps you there. I'm switching back to Instagram for a bit. We've got a few more on there. 606 Tracy. Good evening, sir. What's the house rent for a 2-bedroom flat in Manchester? So for a 2-bedroom in Manchester, you want to budget anywhere from £800 till about 1,100. It depends on the area of Manchester. There's areas that are not as expensive, but then they're more run down. You might not have access to good schools, that sort of thing. And this is the differences in the prices. You know, I get everybody wants the cheapest price. Well, majority of people, not everyone, but it's like, oh, where's the cheapest one? You have to also wonder, how far are you away from a train station? How far away are you from a good school? And this is what causes the increase, why the same 2-bedroom might be 1,100 somewhere else, and somewhere else you're finding it for 800. It's probably because there's some things lacking there. But yeah, that's the range you want to be looking at, Tracy. Okay, so we'll just move on quickly. Oh, Lyrics Senor, you were there. Okay, that's great. I hope you got that. Morayo, I think I've just answered your question in regards to Birmingham and availability of jobs. So you said a 1-bedroom. And yes, that's anywhere between 700 to 900. And Birmingham, there's a lot of jobs. It's a big city. So I hope that helps, Mariah. You come back with saying we didn't answer your question, but we did. Maybe I hadn't gotten to it yet. It does take a while to get to your question, so I do apologize. We've got Dealer Savage. Can I get a job around Eddington, Doncaster, care worker, please? Okay, so we don't actually give out jobs. Are you just asking the possibility of getting it there, or you want a particular job? So I'm not a job agency, unfortunately. We deal with property, but we do cover things that the point of this show is to get you ready for the UK so that you're thinking of the things. If you have any questions about certain things, we can help you with. But we don't have jobs. We're not a job agency. What we have is employment support services. So if you need help with a CV, a cover letter, if you need help with searching for a job, we have people working on that for you. But it doesn't mean we have like 20 jobs and we're giving them out. No. So I hope that explains it. So I'm not too sure about your question. If you need a job in that area or you're asking of the possibility. Mariah, you say I'm new here. Okay, welcome to the show. This is what we do every Sunday evening. So I hope we've helped with your question, Mariah. Dealer Savage, I would love you to get back to me, please. I have just answered your question. You do have to give us a bit of time. It takes a while to get to all your questions. So I just answered you. I know there's a bit of time in between. And when we're covering, how we do the show is every week we give you a new topic at the beginning. We talk about stuff for the first 20 minutes of the show, and then we're open to your questions. So if you do send in a question quite early, it will take us a while to get to you. Okay, so we got Minis by X-Boy Sosa. I see you there. Thanks for joining. Minis by Missy. Hi, good evening, sir. Please, what is the cost of a 1-bedroom flat in Dartford? And what is your advice on staying in Dartford and schooling in Hertfordshire? Oh, wow, that's a long commute. I'm thinking this because of jobs. Okay, so Dartford is a lot of people coming to London now where they're not able to find places in London. We're advising them to go to Dartford because it's quite easy to get into London. It's about 30 minutes on the train. You can commute to Hertfordshire, but you can't commute by buses. You would have to use trains strictly, and it will cost you quite a lot. So another thing we cover on this show is when people say, oh, I want to live in this city, but I will be going here quite regularly. You might be enticed because you are saving £200 a month by living in Dartford. But then what you have to calculate is the cost of transportation. Trains cost a lot. And if you're going long distances, you can't do it by bus. You know, if it's within 1-2 hour commute, you can wake up early, take a bus every day, Dartford to Hertfordshire, you probably can't do by bus daily. It will have quite an impact on your life doing that by bus. And I've had people say these things like, oh, in Nigeria, I'm on the traffic for 3 hours. I can't do it. It's not quite Nigeria, you know. There's differences in the situation. A bus will take you a very long time to do that commute. So if you're going to do it by train, it will cost you quite a lot because Dartford, Hertfordshire is kind of on the borders of London in the north side, and Dartford is extreme southeast in Kent. So you're literally covering across the whole of London. It's not impossible, it's quite possible, and I don't like to put people off. But this is what we try and do, is enlighten you on what you are actually doing, because you might be enticed. Okay, Hertfordshire, what did you want? You want a 1-bedroom. 1 bedroom in Dartford, I would say you will budget anywhere between £700 and £800. And that's the same price for 1 bedroom in Hertfordshire. So you're not saving much, first of all. Another reason you might want to go is availability. Hertfordshire is a very highly subscribed area. I say this every week on the show. University of Hertfordshire have been coming to Nigeria to recruit students all the way from when I was in Nigeria, way back 2002, 2003. I went to Museum Centre in Lagos Island to attend the University of Hertfordshire event. So they are one of the schools that has been coming to Nigeria for students for a very long time. And a lot of us go to University of Hertfordshire. You meet Nigerians here. Out of every 10, 2 or 3 have been to University of Hertfordshire. So I can understand it's very hard getting a place in Hertfordshire, but on the flip side, you're not saving a lot of money by going to Dartford. And you say you are thinking this because of jobs. Maybe you have a job in Dartford. I mean, it's not impossible. I'm just telling you, it's going to be a struggle. It's a long commute. You will have to spend about 2 hours every day doing that. And the cost as well, because the way transport is organized in the UK, it's travel zones. So from the center is zone 1, then you've got zone 2 all around that, zone 3. So you might be going, you know, and it goes like that all the way to 9. And then after zone 9, there's parts that are not even covered by London transport. So you see what I mean? You depend all of the zones, because you literally have to travel through all the zones. If you were going from, beg your pardon, from zone 4 to zone 1, you know, you're just paying those zones. So the less zones you're going to travel to on train, the cheaper the trains are for you. If you have to travel the whole of the zones, you're paying the highest amount possible every week on the trains. So send me a message. Sometimes I can't give you the exact answer on the show because we've got a lot of questions to get to. But we can work it out. We can look at it especially for you, what it will cost, and if it's worth doing. Okay, thank you. So we're back on YouTube just for a little bit because we've got a few questions here. Matthew Olatunji, you say, what's the average cost of a 2-bedroom flat at Cardiff and Pontypridd, South Wales? Is there job availability at those places? Now, Cardiff is another one where in the last year or two, we've had a lot of people going there, and it's not a town that is equipped for that amount of people. If you're coming to London, you might struggle to get a place, but eventually you'll get a place. Manchester, Cardiff is the place where we're seeing people waiting for 3-4 months. They still haven't got any place because these cities were never very big to begin with. So there's not a lot of available housing. And then when you throw in hundreds of thousands of new people coming in, it creates a situation. So if you are coming to Cardiff for September, I will tell you now, start now, because they are already advertising the houses for September in Cardiff. You might have seen on our page, we've been saying this for over 2 months. If you're coming to Cardiff, you're coming to Hull, if you're coming to Portsmouth, they are very oversubscribed, the universities there. So the students who are finishing in September, their places will be available. So you book it now. Don't wait till September when you are coming. If you've gotten admission now, I know some of us may have not even gotten visa or anything. Book it now. Try it if you can. Book it now. Don't wait till September. I promise it will be very difficult. I say this almost every week on this channel. But back to your question, a 2-bedroom at Cardiff, you'll be looking at about 1,200 a month. Pontypridd might be a bit cheaper, 1,000, somewhere in that region. And Cardiff used to be very cheap, but supply and demand, it works very quick here. As soon as everything is going up, they start putting up the prices. So Cardiff is even becoming as expensive as London. You have to imagine every travel agent, thousands of them in Nigeria, they are all telling people, don't go to London, it's cheaper in Cardiff, it's cheaper in here, it's cheaper in there. All those places that used to be cheaper are no longer cheaper. So don't let your travel agent deceive you. If you have the opportunity to go to a bigger city, Manchester, Birmingham, London, take that opportunity. Jobs will be easier. Accommodation will be slightly easier. Not the easiest, but at least a bit easier. Don't go to these tiny, tiny cities and towns where they are very oversubscribed. All right, so job availability as well. Some of the jobs we've covered in the last few weeks, customer service, along those lines, things like that, you might be able to get into. But like I said, the bigger the city, the easier it is to get these things sorted. So Matthew, I hope that helps. If you want a bit more information, send us a DM. Send me a message. The contacts are scrolling across the screen on YouTube, and I can get back to you on WhatsApp. It's not instant, by the way. I have people messaging me at 1 a.m. and why are you not answering? I have to sleep. But you can contact me on WhatsApp. I will get back to you. I generally will reply. It's just sometimes we can't do it instantly. So we got Yetunde Olushola. How much can we get a 1-bedroom in Stoke-on-Trent? 2-bedroom, apologies. Okay. I am going to have a quick look at this because I haven't looked for someone in Stoke-on-Trent since December last year. So it's one of the ones where you might be in luck going there because it's not as subscribed as some places. Another thing that might happen, sorry, I just had a few sound issues there. Yetunde, one thing that you might find, Stoke-on-Trent, you might be better finding a place in Newcastle or somewhere closer. It's only about 20 minutes commute. But the lady I was looking for in Stoke-on-Trent last year, when she got there with her husband, she was like, oh my God, everywhere we go, people are just watching us like we're aliens, like, you know, and a lot of areas are not used to large populations of Black people yet. Let's just put it that way. And you might just find it a bit more comfortable in a bigger city that's closer by. You'll have more access to shops, Nigerian food, a Nigerian community, as opposed to going to these smaller villages. But let's have a look for you for prices. That's what you want, and that's where we'll start from. So you want a 2-bedroom yet in there. Apologies, this is taking a bit of time. Okay. So yes, you'd be looking anywhere between about 600 to 900, you know, 600 to 800. So it's one of the cheaper areas to be going to. It's just, if you're coming there for a job, then that's good because you've already got work. But I wouldn't advise going there without a job. And if you can, look at the nearby areas, like I said, areas like Newcastle, very short commutes. You'll be easier to find a house, more access to the stuff you need. There's areas in Stoke-on-Trent you need a car to live there. It's very remote. There's not good public transport. It's not like areas in London where you can just catch a bus or a train everywhere. And that's what people have to factor in when you are going up north. When you're going outside of the bigger cities, transportation is not the same. And that's why you have people crying on Instagram, oh, it's taking me some hours from one job to the other, this or that. Well, you didn't do your research. You know, you just picked any city expecting everything to be there. And the UK has the structure to things. So make sure you've looked at this place, make sure you know what's available there and how easy it is to live there. And that's why we do this show. Okay, so we got Temi Tokwe saying thanks. Okay, I hope that answered your question, Temi Tokwe. Lord Billa, for the rent deposit, will the landlord hold the deposit for the period you will live in the house or for a short period? So if you pay a security deposit, the landlord holds that for the whole period you are in the house, for the whole period. So let's say you sign a 12-month tenancy, for instance, you're there for 12 months. You will be asked to pay maybe 1 month deposit or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, depending on the landlord. They hold on to that till the day you leave. And like I explained at the beginning of the show, it's a bit of protection for the landlord for damages you might cause. So what you might get as well is some landlords, if you develop a good relationship with your landlord, and some landlords come to inspect your property. So every 6 months, they will come for an inspection. Now, if the landlord comes all the time and he says, oh, I like these people, they're taking care of the house, they've made the house into a home. Sometimes people do things above, you make the house nicer for yourself. So the landlord is even impressed, like, I didn't even paint here. You people have painted it, you made it nice. That sort of landlord, sometimes at the end of your tenancy, month 11, you can tell them, okay, please, we don't want to pay for month 12. And some that are reasonable, they'll say, okay, I know you have been very good. You haven't caused any damage. Don't pay the last month. We will use your deposit to cover it. So that you can get maybe 2 out of 10 landlords doing that. But for the most part, if you go through an estate agency or if your money is put into a tenancy protection scheme, if they put it into a deposit protection scheme, you will have to pay all the way till month 12. You move out, they come for an inspection a day or 2 after you have moved. So to get your deposit will be about a week after you've moved out. They inspect everything and they do this very thoroughly. Any scratch, any dirt on the floor, you put a little bit of wine, you have a nice evening one day and you spilled some wine on the carpet. They're making note of that. They want to get as much as your money as possible. So this is where we started the show. Lord Billa, yes. So it depends. If you get a nice landlord where you rent directly from the landlord, you can negotiate that you don't want to pay month 12. Let's use your deposit for month 12. But for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, they will hold on to this money till you move. Hope that answers your question. So we've got Yetunde coming back with thanks. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Hope we answered that for there. Daniel Gift. Hi, Daniel. You're here every week. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast. You say, please, is Manchester a good city? I mean, in terms of getting jobs and a house, Manchester is brilliant. It's the 3rd biggest city in the UK. So the 3 big cities in UK is London, Birmingham, Manchester. If you're going to one of those, you're going to find it quite easy to get jobs, get houses, bigger Nigerian community. You might need someone to take care of your children if both of you are working. You need access to services. When you go in a remote place, and we covered childcare in the UK, schools, that sort of thing. A lot of people are going to places where you're going to pay a lot for childcare if both of you want to work, all this sort of thing. So it's good to have access to the Nigerian community in your area because you'll find people offering, this is one of the jobs we spoke about last week, child minding. There might be a nice little Nigerian lady there offering child minding services. And then you can have someone that can take care of your child and understand their dietary needs, understand all this sort of stuff, as opposed to going to any nanny and then they're feeding your child food they're not familiar with and that sort of thing. So Daniel, Manchester is great. I do tend to go off on a tangent, but I like to explain the reason I give you these answers. We're going to go on Instagram for a bit and we'll see a few questions there. So we've got Oladosugbo Bola. I'm so sorry, I'm saying that wrong. It's one big long name. House in Colchester, how much? I think you might be new to the channel, Oladosu. If you want to know the prices in an area, tell us the size of the house. Give us a bit more detail, because if you just say house in Colchester, how much? Is it 1 bedroom? Is it, 1 bedroom can be 200, 5 bedroom can be 1,000. We need a bit more information. You know a bit more than me. I can't read your mind. So tell us more and we can give you more. Abiola or Mubarak, what's the budget for a 1 bedroom apartment in Manchester? So I think you've just joined, but we've covered that a bit earlier in the show. In Manchester, for 1 bedrooms, you want to budget anywhere between 700 to about 900, in that range. So I hope that helps, Abiola. I beg your pardon. Okay, so we've got Christy Sell. What is your take in staying in Hartlepool, job and accommodation? So Hartlepool is not terrible. It is a smaller city, unfortunately. The beauty is most of these cities, like I was talking about Stoke just now, are close to other bigger cities. So even if you can't find something in the immediate area, in terms of job. Hartlepool is not great because that's the section, I'm just looking on the map now, and that's the section we are trying to warn people to stay away from. The next closest area to Hartlepool is Middlesbrough. I have a lot of students going to Middlesbrough. It's one of the cheaper universities. It's also one of the areas where housing is very cheap in the UK. You can get a 2-bedroom. I'm telling some people 1,200 in Middlesbrough and this Hartlepool area. You can get a 2-bedroom for £600, but there's no jobs. So that's why the local people are not there. These are old mining towns, old places in the UK that used to be big back in the day, but they don't have that core industry there anymore. So even the people born there are moving out to other areas, all the way up to Sunderland. It's all very quiet there. So, you know, I don't like to discourage people for any reason on this show. If you get an opportunity to go somewhere and travel and live somewhere new, it's always great. I'm never going to tell you don't go somewhere, but I will give you as much information as I can about that area and tell you what's currently there. So it's not the best one, unfortunately. So we've got... yeah, that was Cresty's cell. So I hope that helps. We have a few more requests to join in the video. I'm sorry, guys. We don't take requests to join because we're broadcasting on YouTube as well. So I do apologize. So we've got events by J Nifty. How much is a 2-bedroom in Birmingham? How much is a 2-bedroom in Birmingham? I think we covered that a bit earlier in the show. You may have just been joining. 2 bedrooms are anywhere between 2 bedrooms in Birmingham. You want to budget between 900 to about 1,200, somewhere in that range. So you can get it slightly cheaper, but it just depends on the area. Okay, I hope that helps. Events by J Nifty. Olami, please, are they still giving out COS? Yes. So I covered this on something the other day. We are still giving out, they are still giving out COS. You just can't get it from an agency that used to come to Nigeria to recruit. So if you find the COS offer by yourself, if you make contact directly or through someone who knows a care home here and they're able to offer that to you, you can still come for care jobs. There's a lot of disinformation going around about this care job issue that, oh, they've stopped COS, they've stopped care jobs. They haven't stopped it. It's just the way the recruitment is being done. There used to be companies that will come to Nigeria and recruit, but they're not allowed to do that anymore. You know? Sorry. So we've got Be Forever. Good evening. Please, how much is a 1-bedroom in Birmingham? It's the same questions over and over. We've covered that a bit earlier. You want to budget between 600 to 900. I hope you're there for that. Morayo, I am coming in September. How long will it take to get an apartment in Birmingham? Anywhere between 2 weeks to a month is what we're telling people to budget for temporary accommodation. 2 weeks to a month. So we'll just take one quickly on YouTube. We've got Femi Willie. What do you think about Portsmouth in terms of accommodation and job? In terms of accommodation, it's very heavily subscribed. Portsmouth is one that we're advising people to look early if you are coming for educational purposes. If you've got admission for September, start now. Portsmouth is very subscribed for accommodation. In terms of job, there's jobs there. It's by the seaside. There's a big economy there. So, you know, you will find jobs in customer services. You will find similar sort of jobs. But it's just the accommodation situation in Portsmouth is quite difficult. I beg your pardon. I do apologize. So we got Mariam Moshood on YouTube. I'm already in the UK, so my daughter is my dependent on my husband's visa, but not her dad. But have not yet bring her in yet. I haven't brought her in yet, okay? So now, if I shift to sponsorship visa, can I still bring her in? So you're already here. I'm just, apologies, I'm struggling to get this one together. So if you shift to a sponsorship, she's still your dependent. As long as you can prove she's your daughter, you know, you can probably still bring her here. The thing with the dependency visa, it's normally good if you apply for them at the same time as you get yours. Yeah, it's normally good if you, because I had someone ask me this question the other week, like, oh, if I come to the UK and I'm single and then I get sponsorship, 1 or 2 years later, can I bring my wife? And the question they'll be asking is, the reason they're allowing people like students come with their dependents now is because you're saying, I want to live with my wife and children. I can't live without them. These are my world. These are my rock. I'm not going to be able to study properly without having them in my care around me. So when you say, "Oh, I'm getting married," we're not married, but I'm going to bring her 2 years time. They start to ask questions. It's like, if this person is so important to you, why have you left them there for 2 years? And but with a child, it's much easier because you can prove they're your child. If it was a marriage sort of situation, they could start to think that's an arranged marriage because why weren't you married before if it's your girlfriend, and we tell people if you're planning to migrate with this person, get married before you leave and apply for them straight away. Same thing with children. If you can, apply for them straight away. And they can come about, even not coming directly with you, but they can come 3 months later, up to 3 months. So I'm not sure I understand your question properly. It's just the way you've set it out is a bit hard to understand. But I'm not understanding the situation with your husband and not her dad. But yeah, send me a message and I can look this up for you in more detail. So that would be the recommended thing to do. If you want to discuss this in a bit more detail, we can discuss this. Send us a DM. The contacts are going across the screen. You can send me something on WhatsApp as well. And I can certainly look into that for you. I'm just not getting a full understanding, a full picture of it. And obviously, it's not everything we want to put on live. So if it's a bit more of an intricate situation, send us a message and I'll have a look at that for you. I hope that helps, Mariam. Okay, so we're back on Instagram. We got Bio Brace. I'm coming in 2 weeks. Do you have information on an available apartment? Unfortunately, Bio, you will have to be here to get your permanent place. I would suggest you, and this is what we tell everybody, arrange for temporary accommodation. Make sure you have arrangements in place for either Airbnb. If you're coming as a single person, come and stay in a room, in a shared property, first of all, and then do the struggle of getting a permanent place. It's not possible for us to get you a flat from Nigeria. A few people might be able to say they will get you a place. We've covered this on past shows. It might not be up to your standards. It might be a place that you cannot actually live in. You have to imagine the UK is in a housing crisis now. It's not like Nigeria. And we're going to be putting some more information about this on the page in the next few weeks. The style of renting here and in Nigeria is different. In Nigeria, you have housing surplus. So when you contact an estate agent, they take you to go and see 5 or 10 houses. You sit down, you think about it. Oh, do I like that one? This one, that. This. Here it's different. Here it is a bidding system. You don't choose the house chooses you. So you may go and look at 5 places. Those 5 places you are looking, 60 other people are looking. So they will take about 40 to 60 viewings. And then they will now do referencing. Referencing is how they cut out the number down. So they'll look, how much are you earning? So you will have people that live in the UK, husband and wife are earning 70,000. You are coming on student visa. You have 3 months in advance. You think it's a big amount. But the people you are competing against, they can pay that rent with their eyes closed. So it's a bidding system. Another thing I've spoken about in the past, you go and look at a house and they tell you on the website it's 1,000. You will be surprised that for you to secure that house, you may have to offer 1,002. You may have to offer 1,001 because everybody makes their offer and then the landlord chooses what is best for them. That's what I mean when I say you don't choose the house chooses you, the landlord chooses you. So 10 people might offer the asking price, another 10 people will offer 1,001, another 10 people will offer 1,002, or 2 people might offer 1,250. So the landlord will probably go for the highest offer. So you have to get into the mindset of thinking it's different. It's not like Nigeria. You're not going to get to see 10 properties before you make up your mind. If you take that much time, you will be in temporary accommodation forever. Sometimes you have to just take what is there. You don't have a lot of choice. We have a housing crisis going on here. I say it every week. It still doesn't sink in till you get here. So So we're not going to be able to get you a place while you are still in Nigeria, unfortunately. I will definitely advise that you get temporary accommodation sorted out. And that's something we do. If you want to book Airbnbs, book a temporary shortlet, we can do that for you on your behalf. But in terms of the permanent place where you sign a 12-month contract, as well, the landlord needs to meet you or the agents. It's part of the vetting process. They want to know who lives there. They want to see how you look. Because they don't know you from Adam. They don't know if it's a drunkard or a drug addict coming to live there. They're not just going to give a house to somebody they haven't seen. So you might get a few Nigerian people that can get you houses. From the stories I've heard with people doing that are normally negative at the end of the day. The people they rented for will come. And this is where I started from. We have a housing crisis. Out of the 60 people that can be bidding for that house here, why have they now decided to rent it to you while you are still in Nigeria? It's because nobody will take that house here. It's probably a house that is not painted, or there's a crack in the wall, or there's something health-wise. There's mold growing in the house, and nobody here will take it. But it's a dodgy landlord that doesn't want to fix up the property, and maybe a Nigerian landlord, and they'll tell you in Nigeria, oh, come, we have a place for you. So what we try and do on this channel is give you the undiluted truth. We don't sugarcoat things for people. We tell you what our prices are. We're very direct with people because, you know, the way they sell to people in Nigeria is try and dress something up. When it doesn't go to plan, then start begging me, oh, I understand. No, we don't do any of that. We'll tell you what you will face. We'll tell you what it will be. And then a lot of time I find 70% of people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, oh yeah, we'll do it for you. It'll be great. No, it's tough. So we'll give you the real truth. You're not going to get a place from Nigeria. If you do get one, it won't be one you'll be happy with. It will be a house that nobody here will want to stay in. So just put that into consideration. I'm sorry, I think I've over-answered your question. I do tend to go off on a tangent, but I like to use the opportunity to bring in other issues that people might be thinking about. So on YouTube, we've got Femi Willie. Thank you. How much is transportation from Portsmouth to other bigger cities? How is the transportation from Portsmouth? So there's connections from Portsmouth to other places. Every city is connected. When I talked about transportation and the lack of it in some areas, I'm not talking about between city to city. It's mostly within that city. Sometimes people are choosing remote areas to go and stay, beg your pardon. And that area might not have good bus services. So if you are doing care job and you need to get to 5 or 6 clients in a day, you have to take a bus between one place to the other. Maybe that bus only comes once an hour. And you finish your job, you are standing at the bus stop for 45 minutes, shaking in the cold, waiting for a bus that is not coming for the next half hour. Whereas in London, on average, buses will come every 5 to 7 minutes. So you're never going to be too long before you get a bus to where you're going. So that's what I mean. The transport within the city might not be great. Portsmouth is okay. I wouldn't knock it in terms of transportation. And every city is connected by trains. But then again, it's the same thing. How many trains come through an hour? You know, what's the demand? What is the cost is the more important one. So if you're going from Portsmouth to work in another city or live in another city, how much will you spend? Because the question that keeps coming up is people have a location for their school or their job and they think, oh, the rent here is very expensive. So I want to live in another city 1 hour away that is cheaper. Unless the rent in that other city is 50% cheaper, honestly, what you will spend on trains and commuting will still end up being the same. So it's the travel agents in Nigeria. They keep saying, oh, if you can't live there, just go 2 hours away. You will be fine. The people advising you have never stepped to UK in their life. This is the one that surprises me. People will be taking life advice. You are moving home. You are moving your family. You are moving life. You are taking advice from someone that has never been there before. Hey, the thing, it shocks me to no end. I was like, this person, I had this childhood friend who we went to school together, and he was arguing with me for hours. I was saying, no, boy, you know if you do this thing, no? He was like, my travel agent told me, I trust my agent. How many times has your agent come to the UK? Have they actually lived here? No. Okay. So you keep arguing with yourself, you know? Oh, so Mariam, you say, oh, thank you, we'll chat you up. Okay, I will look forward to that. So we're going to take a few more on Instagram. Funlolafa, again, please compare Milton Keynes and Bedford in terms of everything: school, job opportunities, Nigerian community to rent a one-bedroom flat. So Milton Keynes has a bigger Nigerian community. Bedford not as big. Schools. Once the city is bigger, it has more schools, it has more job opportunities. So Milton Keynes will be the bigger one, the more opportunities, and there is a bigger Nigerian community in Milton Keynes. So definitely it's the one you want to look at, Milton Keynes, than Bedford. Bedford is not bad. A lot of more people are going to Bedford now. So yeah, definitely you can consider both. So yeah. We've got Tammy's Kiddies. Okay, hi Tammy's. I think we've been chatting in DMs. You said please compare Derby and Newcastle. So Newcastle is bigger. A lot of people going to Derby are students. There's a big university there, and these are towns we call university towns, where the university is the biggest thing going there. So it is the student population that pulls people there. So you would know that kind of city is not, the one you will find a lot of jobs, because all the students are going for the available jobs. We have a lot of towns like that. They're called university towns. The university is the biggest thing in that town. There's not a lot of big economy, all that sort of thing. So if you have the choice, please go to Newcastle. There's more access, more stuff going on. It's definitely the one you would want to choose out of those two. Derby is much smaller. Not remote. There's trains, everything, but it is a university town. Okay, Tamis, hope that helps. We've got Bio Brace. I'm coming to London in less than 2 weeks. Do you have any information on an affordable one-bedroom apartment? Like I said, I don't know if I've answered that already. You need to be here, so you need to be here first for your permanent one. If you want information on temporary stuff, we can help with that. But yes, you will need to be here. I don't promise people apartments from Nigeria. I think there's so many issues that can come up. You can turn up, you don't like the place. You may not agree with the landlord. There might be other factors that you don't see. Also, landlords like to meet you. They want to know who they're renting to. They will, all these other things. So they're not going to just rent off the air without knowing. If you do get that, there's something wrong with that property. I promise you that. So we got Emmy Patts. Hello, Emmy Patts. First time seeing you here. Can you speak about Bolton, please? So Bolton is on the outskirts of Manchester. I do talk about Bolton a lot on this show because I did some training up there. It's a small town. It's not a big town, but because of the proximity to Manchester, we have a lot of University of Manchester students going to live in Bolton. It's cheap. The first person I secured a house for in this business was in Bolton, a lady called Totin. So she is here sometimes watching. But Bolton it's a lovely place to go. It's quiet. Houses are cheaper than Manchester. It's not very hard to get to Manchester. Even if you live in Bolton, you can get a job in Manchester. There's trains going every sort of, like 3 trains an hour. It's quite frequent. You're not going to wait more than 20 minutes for a train. You can do it by bus as well to save money. Buses are always cheaper than trains. So if you get an opportunity for Bolton, maybe COS, maybe study Bolton. I have a couple of high school friends who are in university in Bolton now, actually, 2 of them. So it's a good place to go. I know I tend to tell people go to Manchester, London thing, but if you got a nice little location that links to these cities, because Manchester is the bigger one, you've got Bolton, you've got Wolverhampton, you've got Salford, all these places that are kind of connected to Manchester. You are still part of the Manchester crowd, more or less. You're not very far away. So Emmy Pat, I hope that helps. So Bolton is a good one to be going for. Not too expensive. It is going up, but it's not too expensive. Okay, so we're going to switch over to YouTube for just a little bit. We've got Elizabeth Ijoma Ovoy. Hi there. Thank you for joining. First time I've seen you on the show. So thank you so much for joining. I'm on student visa, undergraduate for 3 years. How can I bring in my husband and son? Undergraduate visa. So you might... Um, that's a tricky one. So, I mean, did you not apply for them as dependents originally, or you only got it for yourself? Your easiest way, just to deal with your question directly, is to get a sponsorship visa here. So you have to get a job that gives you sponsorship, maybe a care job, which is the most likely one. And just putting that out there, and a sector that is recruiting now is teachers. If you've come as a dependent of somebody and you're looking for an apprenticeship to go into or somewhere where they train you, think of teaching. We put this out there last week. It's on the skill shortage list. So it's one of the skills, the jobs that they're recruiting a lot for. There's a lot of support for teachers here. So if you are a dependent of someone and you are here, try and look at teaching and how to get into that. Even if you don't have experience, they will train you up. And it's certainly a good one to be looking at now. But Elizabeth, that will be the direct answer to your question. You need to get a job that offers sponsorship. And then you can probably bring in your dependents after that. Yeah. It's trickier when you're an undergraduate. They don't allow you dependents. That's for postgraduates, for master's degrees and the like. Okay, so we got Femi Willie on YouTube as well. Understood with this. Do you think it's best to live in Portsmouth or somewhere close? I'm planning to stay in Portsmouth though, just looking to see options. Yeah, Portsmouth is fine. It's quite difficult with accommodation. We've had people looking there for quite a bit. It can drag on. So it's one just to be aware if you're coming there, prepare for up to 1 or 2 months of temporary accommodation. There's nothing wrong with going there. It's just how much time is it going to take you to find a house? And from experience, the few we've helped out there, it did take quite a while. It took like 6 weeks to get them in place. So a lot of competition. Yeah. Okay, so we're back on Instagram. People are making friends. Kingston Bell says they would love to see what Tammy's Kiddies Wholesale sells for kids. That's a good one. Make your business connections. Why not? And Tammy has responded with her WhatsApp. So, yes, that's nice. We like to see these connections going on. We're also starting a Telegram group for people that want to share homes. So if you think you're coming as a single person and you want to look for someone in the similar area to share with you, we'll be hoping to put a big push on that in the next few weeks. It's already set up. There's a link on our bio, so you can join that now in Telegram. You can start putting stuff in there if you're looking for a place in a certain area. And you never know, someone might be looking in the same place. So 2 families share a bigger house, maybe a 3, 4 bedroom, and then you both have 2 rooms and you can share the living room, and it'll be much cheaper for you. It'll be much easier as well to get, it's dealing with 1 landlord instead of 2. So there's advantages to sharing. It's not the ideal, but at least you can share for a short period of time. And then as you gain ground, you move on to something else. Okay. So be forever. I feel like I've answered this question 6 times this evening. How much is a 1 bedroom in Birmingham? 600 to 900. That's what you want. Emmy Pat, cost for a 2 bedroom in Bolton. You'll be looking anywhere between 800 to 1,000 for a 2 bedroom. In Bolton, it's cheaper. 800, 1,000. So we got Miklan01. Please, house job search in Stoke-on-Trent, especially care job. There's not a lot. Stoke-on-Trent is quite remote. But if you want to message me, I know of a care home there, so you might be in luck. Message us on WhatsApp after this, and we'll see if we can link you up with them. We've got 606 Tracy. Hello, please. I want to check in Manchester if utility bill is covered in the rent. So, Tracy, the way utility bills work here is if it's going to be included in your rent, majority of the time, that's when you are sharing an apartment. So if you're renting 1 room in a house, and there's other people in that house, so there's 3 bedrooms, you rent 1 room, so other people are renting the other 2 rooms, your bills will come included. The landlord has to calculate the bills in the rent and pay them because it's 3 people in the house. Who is responsible for this? Who is responsible? Most times it's included. However, if you're renting your own property, where it's a 1-bedroom flat, 2-bedroom flat, 3-bedroom house, you've got your own front door keys, only you and your family living there, most times, 90% of the time, bill is not included. You have to pay your bills yourself because it's only you using it. So they will expect you, like we said at the start of the show, to register with utilities, search for the ones that are cheaper in the area, register it in your name. The bills come in your name, you pay your bills. So it's only if you share a house. I hope that helps. Be Forever says thank you. We've got His Royal Highness Chika. Okay, we like kings and queens in here. Coventry, accommodation jobs. Coventry is a good one to be heading to. Good Nigerian community. Accommodation is not so expensive. It's also linked to a bigger town in Leicester. So, you know, even if you can't find in Coventry, there are 2 similar sized towns that are quite close by. You can get jobs, you can get accommodation. It's fairly cheaper in terms of England and West cheaper for rent. Coventry is not too bad. So I definitely, yeah, that's a good one to be heading to. We've got Lizzie Official. What's the YouTube? Just click on the bio, click on the profile. There's a link there. And every week we put the link for the YouTube on there. So you can join directly on YouTube there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube. You can watch the last few shows. Every show is themed. So there's times we're talking about jobs. There's times we're talking about different things. And you can go through the past shows as well and get information that will be quite useful to you. So just check on the bio. Our link is always up there and you can see it. So we've got Minis by Missy. Well done, sir. Thank you so much. Please, what is the cost for an Airbnb or short-let per night in Dartford, like an average cost for a family of 3? Okay. So the problem with short-lets, with permanent accommodation, it's quite easy for us to look up the prices and tell you. With short-lets, it can vary quite a big deal. So you can find some places that are £100 and you can find places that are £200 a night. So it does vary, basically depending on how nice the house is, how big it is, how many people are coming, that sort of thing. But not to talk too much, let's have a quick look for you. Also, with short-lets, your dates are very important. So the further ahead you are booking, the cheaper it is. The closer you come to the day, if you are booking for next week, it will be quite expensive. So if you can get it earlier. You haven't given any dates, Mini by Mrs., but I'm just going to assume something in May, just so we get an idea of what it is, and we'll check for, beg your pardon, the price for 2 weeks. Sometime in May in Dartford. You've told us a family of 3, so that's good. At least we have an idea of that. So yeah, Dartford, the average that is coming up, say 2-3 weeks time in May, is the cheapest I can find is £109 per night. So there's something outside Dartford. No, that's the other side of the river. So around Dartford itself, the cheapest is £109. And I get this all the time. When we check out prices of temporary accommodation, people go, oh my God, that is so expensive. Yes, Airbnbs here are very, very expensive. So temporary accommodation is one you should budget for. If you're coming as a family, it's going to be one of your biggest costs. It's going to be a lot more expensive than what your permanent home is. So if your permanent rent is going to be $1,000 a month, you can easily spend that in Airbnb in 10 days, you know? So it's very expensive. You might be paying 2 or 3 times of what your final rent is going to be just to be in a short stay. They're very expensive. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Unless you can find family to share with or, you know, another. And this is why I say people should start using the Telegram group. Because imagine this house that I'm telling you is £109. It's got 4 beds there. There's 3 of you coming. You might find another family that there's only 2 or 3 of them. And then you share that £109 and then you're paying 60 or 70 a night instead. So even the temporary you can share. You have to start making these connections for Nigeria because it is taking a lot of money off people. Imagine just for 1 month where you are searching for your permanent accommodation, you've already spent £3,000. It's a lot. I feel for people a lot. But, you know, London and the environs, anywhere closely related to London is very, very expensive, unfortunately. Even people that are renting just a room in a shared apartment in London, temporary accommodation, you can easily pay £700 a week. Just 1 room, not even the whole flat. So You know, if you get something less than that, you're quite in luck. You won't get anything less than £70 a night in London for a room. When you now start talking about flats, you're talking region of 100, 110, 120, all the way up to £200 per night. Per night, remember. So it's a lot of money. You know, it never used to be like that. But, you know, if we're talking of supply and demand, the short-let market even is more volatile than permanent accommodation, because as soon as a lot of people are booking for that place, the landlords keep raising the rents because they know there's a lot of demand. So you want to start considering sharing, even with your temporary. Find people that are coming to the same university for the same period, resuming maybe within a week or two of your own resumption. Link up with them. This is what we want people to start doing. It will help you a lot. Okay, we're going to take a few more. So I hope that helps. Who was that for? Minutes by Missy. So I hope that helps. Join our Telegram group. We're encouraging people to start meeting people there, talking about sharing, putting the message every day. You'll soon find somebody that's coming to London and needs to share. You know, I get hundreds of messages from people every day. Just, you know, it's if you are willing to share and put it in there. So we've got Femi Willie on YouTube. Okay, where's the closest place to live, if not Portsmouth, due to the house waiting time? There's no magic place to live. The thing you have to consider is this Japa movement has been going on for almost 2 years now. The way you are thinking is the way people have been thinking. So if one area is congested, the surrounding areas are congested as well, because everybody who has come before you has thought of the same thing. You haven't just stumbled upon a magic thing to solve the problem, if you see what I mean. Portsmouth is the biggest area there. Southampton is probably the next bigger area. So it's facing similar pressures. Southampton and Portsmouth, Southend-on-Sea, they are all facing the same type of pressure at the moment. Because it's natural. The spillover from one area will just spill into the next. So, you know, it's not anything nobody has thought about. You just have to deal with it. There's no magic bullets, you know. This is what I tell people sometimes. Sometimes you just have to deal with what's happening in that area. Come prepared. You're going to Portsmouth, like we have said. There's no way you're going to spend less than a month in temporary accommodation. So make sure you have the funds for that. Make sure you're booking that ahead of time. Housing changes, because every day, you know, this week we will look on that area and there's 10 houses. Next week, there might be another 10 fresh houses, because people are moving out, people are moving in. So just because there's no houses now doesn't mean there will never be houses, but you have to already be there. You have to be one of the people going out, viewing every day, putting in bids till one person will pick you. And like I said, it's the landlord that picks you. You don't pick the house here, the landlord picks you. So you have to keep offering, making bids, that sort of thing. So it will soon work. It's just, are you ready for the length of time? When we tell people that you may spend up to £2,000 or £3,000 on temporary accommodation, it comes as a shock. But it's better you coming and being prepared for that than you reach here, you only came with 1 month rent, 1 month deposit, and then now you start borrowing money from Nigeria, doing all this. No, we like to tell you how to get prepared so that you're ahead of the game. That's the whole point of it. It doesn't mean because we say, you know, it's hard there, there's a magic place to go to solve it. No, you will have to deal with that pressure of the area you're going to. You just need to be better prepared for what it's going to entail. Okay, so I hope that helps, Femi. Southampton is the next place you should be looking at. It's within 20-30 minutes away. It's facing similar pressures. It won't be any significantly easier. It will probably be just the same. We got Faith Magaji. Hello, Faith. First time I've seen you here, I believe. Thanks for joining the broadcast. Please, what's the closest affordable town to live in Birmingham? Okay. So I think I covered this slightly there, but you might have just been joining. The towns around Birmingham, I'll have a quick look for you. Okay. So where are we? So you want to look at places like Warsaw, Wolverhampton is there. You know, Coventry is not too far from Birmingham, but it's a bit of a distance. But yeah, just around Birmingham. Birmingham is, like I've told people earlier today, is the second largest city So you don't have to go too far, like going into a totally different town to get a place. But Walsall, Wolverhampton are the closest places. You can also look at Dudley. Some of these places are still kind of classed as Birmingham, more or less, because it's such a big city. And those are where you can find the cheaper accommodation. We helped a lady get a place in Wolverhampton less than 2-3 weeks ago. Tamworth is there as well. So yeah, Faith, I hope that helps. Faith Magazine, in regards to rent, please, for Birmingham, you haven't told us the size of what you are looking for, so it'll be hard to give you a rent. We don't know what your budget is, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, studio, how big your family is, so I wouldn't be able to tell you rent. Femi Willie, is the Telegram group set up? Yeah, it's set up. You can see the link on our bio, so we'll encourage people to start joining in there, start messaging for people who can share with you, even the temporary who can share with you. It will take some pressure off your pocket. So we've got Stainless Felix on Instagram. If someone applies for admission now, what are the probabilities that the person will get as an admission and make it to the UK by September? There's no... We're in April now, so you have more than 3 months, so you should be fine. It's usually as it comes closer to the resumption date, it gets harder. But yeah, Felix, you're saying good time. If you can apply now, this will be sort of a good time to apply for September. I beg your pardon. Because that way there's time to, do proof of funds. There's time to apply for your visa. There's time to do all of that. You want at least 3 months before resumption to be sorting out your admission. So it's very good time now. So we got Lizzie Official. You said £20 per night. I can't recall what your previous question was, or if that was the answer for someone else. You've just said £20 a night, so I don't know what that relates to. But if you find a place for £20 a night, then that's brilliant. That's the price of a hostel. And when I say hostel, that's 6 people in a room with bunk beds. That's £20 a night. I don't think you can get anything £20 a night in terms of the property. Hello, Ego Gadzama. Thank you for joining. You're always here with us. Thank you so much. We've got Miss Nikki Bash. What are the prospects in Manchester City? Prospects are really good. It's Manchester, Birmingham, London, 3 biggest cities in the UK. So anything you're going for there, you're good. You've got lots of opportunities for work. They're big cities, so on the outskirts of the cities, you can find cheaper accommodation. And there's more accommodation generally. If you're searching in Manchester, Birmingham, or London, if you type in an area and look for houses, you will get 4 or 5 pages of possible places you can apply to. Some of these other towns like Portsmouth, you might only have 5 properties that week. And then you have to wait till next week till new properties come on. So that's the challenge. How many properties are actually available there and how big is the town? So I hope that helps. We got Kingston Bell. I have an admission in South Wales already. Okay, we answered you just a few minutes ago, but haven't started my next step. What can you tell me about Wales? You're going to a very difficult area, unfortunately. South Wales is one of the very congested areas. So if you're going Pontypridd, Swansea, anything like that, it's been very difficult to get people properties there. These are the smaller towns where there's not as many people doing landlords or renting our houses. So there's a limited supply of properties and you have a ton of students going there because they have cheaper school fees. That's the reason why the school fees are cheap. When you're coming to make these choices, sometimes the schools in the bigger cities don't give you admission, but sometimes people make all the decisions based on money. There's a reason why that place is cheaper. There's a reason why it's cheaper than other schools. It's not just magic. Everything works hand in hand. It's because there's less accommodation there. I'm not asking you to spend more money. I'm just trying to give you information to make an informed decision. So as much as money is very important, it's important that you're giving yourself the best chance from the word go. Kingston Bell, you've come back again. I heard that they want to stop the 2 years work visa and dependent criteria. Well, people have been saying that for the last 2 years. It's still going. So I wouldn't worry till it actually happens. It's not stopping. There's been no official communication to say it's stopping. We have a lot of people getting worried for no reason. If you can get a COS now, get it now. It's still safe to get it now. This is a question I answer every single day. It hasn't been stopped. They have stopped the agencies that used to come to Nigeria. There were companies that have set up shop in Nigeria. They have an office there. They can recruit you as a doctor, as a nurse, as a carer direct from Nigeria. They have stopped those agencies. But if you find it by yourself, if you contact agencies here or contact care homes directly or people who know care homes and you get COS, it's still fine to come. So the restriction is not on you as the person coming for the work. It's on the agency and the organizations here. So don't worry about what was published on March the 23rd. People who have contacted me, I have a lot of bloggers and other content creators carrying wrong news. They have not even read the thing properly to dissect it well, or they are just doing it for views. They just want people to view their page and this kind of thing. We only give you the truth on this channel, Undiluted Truth. I have looked through it in detail. It does not affect you as the person applying. So we have no official information to say COS is stopping anytime soon. It's just agencies cannot go to countries like Nigeria that are classed as red list countries to recruit. That is all that has been stopped. The organization going to get the people. If you find it yourself or get in contact and get it, you are fine. I say this every week. So I wouldn't worry, Kingston Bell. We've got Exquisite Baby Shop. Hello, can you talk about Hertfordshire? I have spoken about Hertfordshire in detail this evening. I think you've joined a bit late, so we will ask you to watch the broadcast back. This will be on YouTube on our page. You can watch it back later. And we do put in chapters, so you don't have to watch the whole 2 hours. You can skip to the bits you want. However, just for a brief detail, Hertfordshire is very subscribed. A lot of Nigerian students go to University of Hertfordshire. Housing is hard there at the moment. So that's the summary of it. But yeah, it's a difficult one to get housing at the moment. We've got B Forever 7. Please, any idea of what a nursing mother can do with a baby of 3 months during her free time in UK, just to make some little cash to support her hobby? That's a hard one because a 3-month-old baby, that's a job by itself. Is that not a full-time job? You can't really leave your baby to do anything unless you can work from home. And even at that, nursing a child that young, there's only limited jobs you can probably do even from home. So it will depend on what skills you have. If you're in the IT sector, if you have other skills that are transferable, but if you're looking for a fresh job, I don't want to lead you wrong. It's not going to be very easy. The easiest thing you can probably get into is child minding. There's a show we did 2 weeks ago on the YouTube channel, and it explains how you can get into child minding. So you can start taking care of other people's children as well as your own. But I think it's a lot at this stage. I know we all want to make money. You probably want the kid to get to about 6 months or a bit older before you start taking on work, just to give them enough attention. But, every situation is different. You might be able to help with other people who have to go to work. So they might have older children, like 3 years old, 5 years old, and that mom wants to go and work. So you can take her little toddler and you're caring for both kids at the same time. That's a brilliant one to get into. So that's the only one I would probably recommend in your situation. I've got Faith Magaji on YouTube. You've come back. I think you're saying rent for Birmingham, 2-bedroom flat. So for a 2-bedroom in Birmingham, I think we've gone over this a few times this evening. You want to be budgeting anything from 800 to about 1,001, 1,002, depending on what part of Birmingham. You can get them as cheap as 800-900 in the areas that are not so good, and in the more busier, nicer areas, you'll be looking 1,000 up to 1,200. So I hope that helps, Faith. Did you ask any other questions? No. Okay, so we've got Miriam on YouTube as well. How much is a studio apartment and a 1-bedroom apartment in Manchester? Okay, so I'm sure this is what Manchester and Birmingham keep coming up. I've covered this quite in detail this evening, but I will have a look for you because you're asking about studios as well. I don't think I've covered that today. Um, so you want Manchester studios? Okay, so let's have a quick look for you. Okay, I do apologize, everyone. Sometimes I don't have the answer off the top of my head, and I want to give you a comprehensive answer. I don't want to just pick up figures from the air. When I tell you figures just from my head, it means we've just been looking for someone in that area, so I know quite well because I've been looking. But yes, so for one bedrooms, you're looking anywhere between 850, 900, up to 1,000 in some areas, you know. And for studios, from 550 all the way to 900 will be your average price. So it just depends where it is. There's some for 550, 600. And when I give average prices, I have advised this in the past. Always go mid-range. Just because I told you there's an apartment for 500 or 550 doesn't mean you will get the 550 one. You may end up paying 700. So if we say 550 to 900, look somewhere in the middle. I know we all want the cheapest place. First of all, you are competing, like I said, the house chooses you, you don't choose the house. There's people who already live, born in the UK, they are working, they have the right requirements, and they will look better to the landlord than yourself, who is coming as a student from Nigeria or coming for the first time from Nigeria, don't have a job yet. All you can offer is 3 or 6 months rent in advance. Somebody who is working seems more stable to the landlord because they know that nothing is going to go wrong. A lot of people say, oh, I come with COS, I'm earning 21,000, but my husband doesn't have a job yet, he will be working. That means nothing to them. The work your husband will get, till he gets it, it means nothing. So, it's only your salary that counts at that point. So, yeah, I hope that helps, Miriam. So we've got Abeni Prince. What's the price range for temporary accommodation? I don't know where, I don't know size. We can't answer that, unfortunately. You have to give us a bit more information, Abeni. Tell us the city, a bit more detailed. We can't just know what you are doing or what you are thinking. Miss Nikki Bash, I'm coming in a few months with my family of 5 in Manchester City. What is your advice for me? What do you want to know about? Is it accommodation? Manchester City is quite good. We've covered prices for 2 bedrooms in Manchester. A family of 5, you need a 2-bedroom, definitely. You probably can't squeeze in one, or, the landlord won't allow you in one. If you've got 3 kids, you'll need 2. They're looking somewhere at 1,002 up to 1,004, somewhere in that range. Some parts of Manchester, you can get 2 bedrooms for 800-900. You said Manchester City, so I'm assuming you are right in the center of the city, not on the outskirts. So it is a bit more expensive. You can live in areas like Stockport. These are surrounding areas to Manchester. Stockport, other surrounding areas south that are not quite Manchester City itself. It might be cheaper for you. But if you add a bit more information, we can tell you a bit more. We got Abiola Mubarak. What's the budget for temporary accommodations in Manchester? What size? Family of how many? We need this information to answer you. Kenny Pincel, house job in Sunderland. It's very poor. Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Hartlepool. Somebody asked about Hartlepool earlier in the show. There's no jobs there. The local people there, they come out of there and go to other places to look for work. So, beg your pardon. This is what I mean. Nigerian agents sell these places. Say, oh, the school fees is cheap. The house rent is cheap. Is there jobs there? Well, what are you going to be doing? It's cheap, but you can't pay it because you're not working. And that's probably what you are experiencing in Sunderland now. So if you are still on the show and you are still in the process of planning your movement, and they tell you all these funny things, verify it first. Do some research. Don't just sit here cheap and then your brain just lights out, oh, cheap. No. You might be cheap, but you can be there 3 months. You don't have a job, 4 months. So cheap should not be the only thing that gets, how easy is job? How easy are other things? What's the access to the other nearer cities? Am I in an area where even if I go 1 hour left or right, there's still no jobs? You know, there's some cities that you may not get a job in that city, but at least if you travel 1 hour, there's jobs there for you. If you are in a place, northeast England has been historically, it used to be mining towns. It used to be where manufacturing used to happen. If you know the history of the industrial age and all the way till now, when UK used to produce a lot of things, those were the cities where it was happening. They have all these mills for cotton, different stuff they used to produce. That has changed in the last 40, 50 years. UK became a service industry. So that's why they had the city of London, where all the financial transactions for Europe happen. All this other stuff happens, you know. Those towns are all dead now. There's nothing happening there. So the people who are born there, who have lived there, they're running away, you know. They're running away. Yeah. So please, make sure you are looking at the right areas before this and that. So we got Tokumbo Sumola. Please, what's the cost of a 2-bedroom in Luton, London? You're looking between 1,200 to 1,350. I hope that helps, Tokumbo. I'm going to rush a bit now because we only have 2 minutes to the end of the show. So we're rounding up at midnight. We can't be here all night, unfortunately. We've been going since 10. If you have any questions we don't get to, kindly send us a DM. Follow us on all the channels that are scrolling across the screen. If you're on Instagram, go in our bio link. You can chat to me directly there across the week, and I can give you more information in detail. You can follow us on all the channels. You can join the Telegram group, start asking about temporary accommodation and how to share. I might not be able to get to all your questions. So we've got, what's the cost of 2-bedroom? Okay, we just done that one. Bliss Drinks and Chillings. Oh, I'm coming to chill with you soon. Bliss. It must be blissful where you are. Please, what are the job prospects on Lincoln, Nottingham, Wolverhampton? So if you're looking for jobs, Nottingham will probably be a better place. Wolverhampton is very close to Birmingham. So if you do go to Wolverhampton, you may not get jobs there, but at least it's closer to another place. Lincoln, I probably wouldn't go to. It's quiet. Ego Gazama, do you have to tell the host or hostess that you will be sharing? Nice seeing you. Thank you, Ego. You can tell them, it doesn't matter, because, you know, with permanent accommodation, the landlords can be more strict. They can say, oh, you have too many children. We don't want to put you in this property, this kind of thing. But with temporary accommodation, it's not very strict. So you can say, yes, we're going to be 3 adults, 5 children. So far the house is big enough, like a 4-bedroom, that sort of thing. You're normally okay. And even if you don't want to tell them, it's still fine. It's a temporary accommodation. You're only going to be in for like 2 weeks to a month. So it's not as strict as permanent places. So we've got Funlola for, please calculate additional bills besides rent. You've got council tax about 150 a month, between 120 to 150. You've got electricity, which could be anywhere like £25 a week. So that could be up to 100. If it's a bigger house, you'll talk 150. But just because we've spoken before, and I know it's just 2 occupants for a 1-bedroom, you'll be looking at about £25 a week, so 100. If you've got gas in the summer, you're thinking about £50. In the winter, it can go anywhere up to 200. It can go up 4 times in the winter when you need heating and hot water. So I would say about 300 if it's for a 1-bedroom, 300 to 400 a month for additional bills. That's what you want to budget for. Tammy's Kiddies, please, can you help us secure a COS job in London or Manchester? Kindly send us a message on the DMs. We can support you a bit with that. Hotola, please, how can I join the Telegram group? Can't find it on your bio. It's definitely on the bio. You know, the Telegram group is definitely on the bio. I'm going to have a quick look now, just because you said that. Yeah, it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th link on the bio. So I know there's a lot of links there, but they all do different things. So if you look under the free 15-minute consultation for jobs, the next link there, it says Softlandings UK. Oh, sorry, not 5th, the 6th one. After the one for Twitter, the one for Telegram is there. So it is there. Caller. Rose Abos, I need a 2-bedroom apartment in Streatham, please. You're going to find it difficult to find in Streatham. It's very expensive. I would say you should look around Croydon as well. Don't focus on Streatham so much. There's areas that are not too far from there that are cheaper. So I would look at Croydon. Kingston Belt says, thank you, brother. You are seriously honest. Thank you. That's what we aim to do. We don't want all these travel agents just giving you fake information and then you're coming unprepared. And then I've even had two conversations with Nigeria. They will be like, let them come. They will learn by themselves. I'm like, come on now. These are your people. You need to support them. So that's why we started the channel. We want to help people. We're not here to discourage you. Even if I tell you a place is not good or no jobs, I'm just trying to give you clear information so you can make informed decisions. Imagine you have the opportunity to go to a big city and you are going to spend extra 2 million naira, or you go to a small city and you think, oh, I'm saving on the school fees, and you go to this smaller place and you can't get a job. It's going to frustrate you after 2 or 3 months. So as long as you get the good information, you can make that decision, you know. King Stambell, you've come back. You say you helped my very good friend, like a sister, to find a terrace house in Manchester. Oh, really? Thanks for your help. They told me how you really helped. God bless you. I mean, anyone who's coming to contact with me, even just from the shows, you can see I am very concerned about people, and I will help you with everything you do. If you are my customer for housing, for the next few months, I'll be supporting you all through your journey. So it doesn't end with one service. I have previous customers calling me every day. Oh, Emmanuel, can you help me with this? And I'm always available to you. This is what we're here to do. Okay, so thank you for that. It's always nice to hear back as well when people are recommending us. It means the message is getting through. It means we are getting across to people. And I really like to see these kind of things. Femi says, thank you, Chief. I appreciate you on YouTube. I appreciate you joining the broadcast. Thank you so much. I am Kiwas. Can you help me get sponsorship? Send us a message. Okay. And Funlolafa, will you still go live on Sundays during your trip to West Africa? Yes, I will. I will. No problem. As long as I can get some internet, I will. I'm going to Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana, we're going to Accra, we're going to Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan. From Abidjan, we're going to Dakar in Senegal, and we're going to Banjul in Gambia. So imagine how many phone networks we're going to be passing through. These are all the planning we're doing now. We're going to be switching from different networks. Hopefully there's Wi-Fi in the hotel. So as long as I can get a signal, I will be going live, not to worry. I am traveling to Africa from the middle of May to the middle of June. So I have spoken about that. And we are organizing a trip. So if anyone is interested in that, there will be a bit more information on the channel on that shortly. Sometime this week, we'll be putting that on the channel. So Africans, we love to go to Europe. I've been to more than 20 or 30 countries across Europe, America, everywhere. I don't know my neighbors. I've never been there. So this is a new thing we're starting with Softlandings Travel. We're going to be putting multi-country trips together. South Africa, East Africa, and it's not just seeing one country, it's seeing a couple of countries in one trip. And having these fun road trips, we'll have an in-house photographer to take pictures, all this sort of thing. So that's what Funlolafa is referring to. So I will try to broadcast all through that, and we'll be sharing a lot of what happens on the trip anyway. So we'll definitely be staying in contact. And Skilwas, can you hear me? You've spoken about sponsorship 3 times. You need to send us a message. Bliss Drinks and Chillings. You said you never got the answer. So I said, don't count on Lincoln. Wolverhampton is close to Birmingham, so it's a good one to be going to. Nottingham is close to London. It's just about an hour and a half outside London. It's not bad as well. There's a good Nigerian community there. Kent is brilliant. If you can get a job in Kent, you're very close to London and all that entails. Okay, so we have overrun. I do apologize. There's still a lot of questions coming in. We've been on since 10 o'clock. We only run this show for about 2 hours. It used to be an hour. I've had to extend it for 2 hours. Funlolafa, you say, will I come to Lagos? I land in Lagos first and I leave back from Lagos. So from Banjul, we'll be coming back to Lagos again. So we'll definitely be reviewing some places in Lagos and that sort of thing. We're also trying to get people to visit West Africa. A lot of British people, they love to go to South Africa, they go to East Africa for safari, but West Africa, because of the history with crime, security, it's not a big population. So that's the main thing of why we're setting this up. West Africans who live here to be able to have multi-country trips, other people as well who are not familiar with West Africa, to show them these places are just as beautiful as Zanzibar. Not because they have blue water there, you should only go there. There's beautiful places in West Africa as well. So we're trying to promote tourism in our region. Anybody who has not gotten an answer, I do apologize. We really do have to go. We're ending the broadcast here. I thank you so much for joining. We'll be back next Sunday for all your questions. Join early. We're normally here from 9 to 11 on a Sunday evening. Unfortunately, we had to start 1 hour late this week. But send your question in as early as possible and you get an answer. Our links are on the bio on Instagram. You can message me directly during the week on WhatsApp and I will definitely get back in contact with you. Have a good week ahead, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Good night.